Welcome back to Inside Jacksonville. Today we're examining the problem of domestic violence,
the causes, and some possible solutions. As we mentioned before, the focus is usually on women when it comes to domestic violence, how to help them recover. But there's one relationship expert trying to change that, to help men learn to prevent problems before they ever start. Joe Hellriegel attended one of his workshops recently at NAS Jax.
And in fact, I'm going to argue that these are men's issues.
Dr. Jackson Katz is on a mission. His mission is to deal with domestic violence. Abuse is most often addressed by helping the victims or arresting the abusers. Katz takes a different approach. He's out to change the attitudes of men before uncertainty, disappointment, anger, and other emotions cause them to lash out at the ones they love. That's what he's doing here at this symposium for servicemen and business professionals at NAS Jax.
Well, you know, historically the issues of sexual and domestic violence have been seen as women's issues that some good men help out with, and a big part of my work is to try to help people think, you know, out of the box, if you will, and think about these issues not as women's issues that good men help out with, but actually as men's issues. One of the big missing pieces has been men's leadership and men's participation at a really active level, and so part of my work is trying to help change that and get men to work with women, not against them.
Katz does more than give seminars. This is a clip from a Katz video called Tough Guys, where he explains how the media portray what a real man should be.
A real man is tough.
Tough. Tough.
Tough, strong, independent, respected means fitting into this narrow box that defines manhood. The terms that are the opposite of that, wuss, wimp, fag, sissy, are insults that are used to keep boys boxed in. So if you're a boy, it's pretty clear there's a lot of pressure on you to conform, to put up the act, to be just one of the guys.
You know, the peer influence and modeling from people that you see as like yourself is really important. It can't be.
Dr. Jenny Stuber is a UNF sociology professor. She says when a man's man like Katz says something, men listen.
I think it's that men are more competitive, more hierarchical, maybe more individualistic as they're raised. So this is just one area where that reflects broader, I think, themes about what it means to be a man in our society. And
we need to examine how we're learning, how boys and men are learning what it means to be a man, and media is one of the key places. This is naive talk in the 21st century. Media is incredibly influential in shaping what it means to be a man or a woman, and so we have to use critical analytic tools to understand how the media affects the way we think as a way to counteract some of the negative aspects of it.
In other words, overcoming media messages is the biggest challenge to his message. Dr. Katz said people learn more from the media than any single source of information, and that's why it's so hard to overcome. Joe Hellriegel, Inside Jacksonville.
There are many causes of violence. For decades, there have been questions about the media's role in shaping our attitudes towards violence. Those questions are getting even louder now because of a new form of entertainment, video games. Inside Jacksonville alum Courtney Edwards takes us on a trip, starting with the golden age of television.
Dating back to the sitcom The Honeymooners, violence in our entertainment is nothing new. For the past century, audiences have been fed a steady diet of violence. 1946 classic The Killers, The Shooter, Scarface, Gladiator, and recently the movie 300. With each passing decade, the violence gets more intense. It has always been part of the plot. Now, it's the selling point.
It's revolting. It's violent. It's everything you love in a game. And your mom's gonna hate it.
UNF media professor Marcia Ladendorf says violent commercials are all a part of the plan.
We have built up a tolerance, and everybody comes along and wants to push that envelope and, you know, get us the thrills, give us the thrills, get us to watch. And that sort of makes the content a lot more graphic.
Face, shoot in the face.
These kids aren't just watching violence, they're participating in it.
You have to kill all the zombies, and then you have to like go find the base where most of the zombies are.
You just keep shooting them and shooting them?
Yeah.
These games let them shoot zombies and a whole lot more.
You had to kill all of the polices and zombies, kind of like Resident Evil.
Resident Evil and other video games on the market share similar traits. Fighting warriors, blowing up heads, killing zombies, violence in every sense of the word. But at least one game researcher told me that video games, in accordance to everyday life, is the least of our worries. Dr. James Ivory shared his research with us over Skype.
There's always been a lot of violent video games. It's something I'm concerned about, sort of as a societal thing. Is it that great to have, for example, youngsters playing violent video games? I don't think so. But I think the whole universe of all the people playing video games out there, violence is not necessarily a dominant part of that.
Now, as for Leidendorf, she's convinced that there is a problem with violence in the media. And the only thing to stop it? Parents.
I think what we have to do is be very, very vigilant as parents and be constantly aware of what our children are doing, what they're watching, who they're playing with, what the parents of those children allow their children to access, and then finally to talk to our children about the images that we see.
Although the line is thin, there is no definitive connection between media violence and everyday life. But one thing's for sure, media violence is escalating. Courtney Edwards, Inside Jacksonville.
So far, we've talked a lot about problems and solutions.
When we come back, maybe the most valuable information, taking the big step. Don't go away.